All right. Good evening. My name is Dele Ayimibo, and you're welcome to Import-Export platform brought to you by 3T Pest Trade Academy. As usual, the program educates our listeners in various areas of international trade and provides solutions to their challenges as far as international trade is concerned. This evening, we'll be looking at part 5 of export costing and pricing. Part 5 of export costing and pricing. And we continue our discussion on cost element. We've been discussing cost element for a while. I think this is the third session we are having on cost element. Remember, we're discussing export costing and pricing, and the fact that people need to effectively and efficiently cost their product. So at the end of the day, they don't give prices that are not workable, and they don't price themselves out of the market. Naimeka and Tony Okere, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. I say good morning. Good evening. Enoch Eju Kolem, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. You're welcome. Ifoma Joy, good evening. You're welcome. I hope we have gone to vote. I exercised our franchise. I've also voted. Let me show you mine so you can see that I voted. So that's an evidence I've gone to vote today. All right. We are hoping for the best so that whoever it is that is coming in, either the old person or the new person coming, whoever it is that wins, should know that Nigeria should come first and that we must take trade very seriously, very, very seriously. All right, we'll continue from where we stopped. We've discussed product cost, and that's the cost of products, procurement of production, and packaging of the good for shipment. We discussed transport cost, and this covered the cost of loading at the buying point and transportation to the warehouse. We talked about the cost of warehousing, and this is the cost of storage at the buyer's warehouse within or outside Lagos. We also discussed the cost of transport to the port, and this covered the cost of loading at the warehouse and then transporting the goods to the port. And then we talked about freight forwarder, and this covered the cost of export clearance through custom and other government agencies, which can only be handled by a licensed custom agent. Even though in the morning I talked about the fact that you need to take hold and take charge of most of your transaction yourself, and that you should not leave the lifeline of your transaction in the hand of an agent who eventually, when he messed up the transaction, you bear the brunt. But also realize the fact that there are some of those things you will not be able to do because it can only be done by custom licensed agent. Then we have the shipping line local charges. This cost include the cost of storage of the containers and stacking them and loading them on board the vessel. And we talk about the terminal handling charge, and that's the charges that the owner of the terminal where the container is being kept is charged. The fee that is being charged, and I talk about the fact that fee was not common before, but was recently introduced. And I talk about in the morning some incidental charges or costs that could be avoided, but occur because of negligence on the part of the exporter. Incompetence on the part of the exporter or on the part of the shipping line is actually payment for inefficiencies. And Bolu Ario, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. And that was demurrage and detention. And I define demurrage as the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is in the custody of the importer or the exporter. And that's detention. Detention is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is in the custody of the importer and exporter. And demurrage is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is the custody of the shipping line or terminal. And I talk about the fact that if your agent is incompetent or there is inefficiency at the port like we have it in Lagos, that could make you to incur demurrage. Even sometimes it might be caused by the shipping line, but the exporter or importer need to pay for it. They are the one desperate, they are the one that have their funds tied down in the project. They are the one that want to ensure they circle out on time. So this evening we'll be talking about some additional fee, and this evening I'll focus more on fees that you pay to banks, fee that you pay to government agencies, fee that I can say are statutory in nature. The first one is NXP charge. NXP. N is Nigeria, X export, P proceed. Nigeria export proceed form. Nigeria export proceed form. This fee is charged by the bank. NSP, by the way, is a fee that, so the NSP, by the way, is a form that any exporter, anybody willing to export legally out of Nigeria must fill to apply to federal government is intention to export. To apply to the federal government is intention to export. You are applying to the federal government your intention to export. You are applying to the federal government your intention to export. NXP. But you pick up that form from the bank, and the bank charge for it. I think about 5,000 naira. The bank charge for it with VAT. That is one of the costs. They are not major costs, but one of the costs you're going to incur. That NXP must be filled and returned to the bank. The bank then remove the original and send the remaining 5, because it's six carbonated documents. When you remove the one, you see when you write on the top, it appears on the remaining 5 under. So when the bank keeps the original, the bank send the remaining document to the agency of government that do inspection on behalf of the government for the goods leaving Nigeria. And that agency is called Preshipment Inspection Agent. They are Cobalt, which cover northeast, northwest, north central, which cover southwest. Kamai ASEA, which cover northeast, northwest, north central. And Neroli Technology cover south, south, and southeast. South, south, and southeast. Prince Chibukem, thank you very much for joining. Good evening and welcome. NXP. NXP is to export what FORMEM is to import. NXP is to export what FORMEM is to import. So whatever it is that FORMEM is doing for import is exactly the same that NXP is doing for export. Adeshin Adewale, thank you very much for joining. Good evening and welcome. NSP is to export what FORMEM is to import. NSP is to export what FORMEM is into import. FORMEM is the application for importation into Nigeria. NSP the application for exportation out of Nigeria. So anybody willing to do legal export must fill an NXP. Anyone willing to do legal export must fill an NXP. Anyone willing to do a legal export must fill an NXP. Attach the relevant document and drop it with his bank. Attach the relevant document and drop it with his bank. The bank, like I said, charge you a fee for this NXP. The next fee I'll be talking about is next fees. Now remember, the fee I'm talking about today are fees related to banks and government. Related to banks and government. That's government agencies. Next fee. Nigeria Export Supervision Scheme fee. Next fee. This fee is paid to the federal government through the bank. It is Nigerian Export Supervision Scheme fee and is based on 0.5% of the FOB value. This fee is paid to the federal government through the bank. It is the Nigeria Export Supervision Scheme fee and is based on 0.5% of the FOB value. Federal government don't charge company income tax on export in Nigeria. They don't charge duty The only fee you pay when you're exporting is called Nigerian Export Proceed Form, and that fee is 0.5% of the FOB value. 0.5. What's FOB? FOB in a layman language is the value of the goods plus profit. FOB in a layman language is the value of the goods plus profit. FOB in a layman language is the value of the goods plus profit. Value of the goods plus profit. So if the value of my goods, if I'm exporting product now, and the value of the goods is worth maybe 10 million, and then I'm making a profit, let's say 20%, that's 12 million. Now this would be in dollars, so let's say $40 or $40,000, and I'm making a profit of $4,000, so $8,000 rather, which is about 1.4. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, sorry, 2.8. So if I have this, the advantage I have at the end of the day is, the whole essence of this rather is that the 0.5% I'm paying is actually not on the $40,000, but on the $44,000. Value of the goods plus profit. Typically, you'll have quoted your price in dollars. So when you go to the bank to pay this fee to the government, the bank will use the rate of that day to convert to Naira, and then you pay and calculate 0.5%, you pay that to the government. Value of the goods plus profit. Value of the goods plus profit. Value of the goods plus profit. That's 0.5%. That's the only fee that government charge. Government does not charge you export duty. No fee, no tax on your export proceed. No company income tax. You only pay this fee. Government have a lot of incentive for export. A lot of incentive for export. Government even give you a grant. It's called the Export Expansion Grant. One of these days, I'll probably note it down also. I think I should just note that down. I don't want to forget. One of these days, I'll be discussing some of these issues around the incentive. Incentive. Incentive for export. Export incentive in Nigeria. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm looking at costs today that are within the purview of government. So I've looked at NXP, I've looked at nest fee, and then the next one is quarantine. Quarantine. If I am exporting an item that is plant-like, seed-like, I'm exporting the leaf, I'm exporting the seed, I'm exporting the beans, I need phytosanitary certificate from the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service, phytosanitary certificate. The next one is fumigation certificate. For the same commodity like cocoa, fumigation certificate is issued by the Federal Produce Inspection Service. Federal Produce Inspection Service. Federal Produce Inspection Service. These two bodies are from Ministry of Agri, and they are both interested. They are both interested in what you are trying to export, such that statutorily they are supposed to check. Quarantine is checking for cleanliness of the product to avoid any foreign bodies or foreign matter. Federal Produce Inspection is keen about foreign bodies, pest. So they do fumigation to ensure that pest does not have a space. Fumigation certificate, phytosanitary certificate issued by Quarantine and Federal Produce respectively. Issued by Quarantine and Federal Produce. Then we have, but those two, please note, those two are only for commodities. They are not for finished product. They are only for commodities and not for finished product. Sun. If I'm exporting item regulated by Sun, it's better I even go and do all my discussion with them ahead. There are two ways to go about this. It's either I go through the Sun process and I have a Sun, I have what is called MANCAP. MANCAP. What is MANCAP? MANCAP is Mandatory Conformity Assessment Program. Mandatory Conformity Assessment Program. MANCAP is the opposite of SUNCAP. They are both owned by Sun. If I'm producing this pen, since it's not food and drug, I won't need NAFDAC, I will need Sun for certification. Now, if I don't have that certification from Sun, does not mean they will reject my good abroad, though, and doesn't mean that my good is bad. But you know, when you do local certification, there is a level of quality it helps you to attain, just like NAFDAC. So that's why we strongly recommend, even though those local certifications are not recognized abroad, but it will help them to appreciate your product because you are likely going to be shipping only good quality product. Why? Because of what we are talking about. Because of what we're talking about, if your good is bad, it's really easy because you didn't even do any minimum check locally. So this agency check and they charge for their fees, charge for their services. I've mentioned Quarantine, I've mentioned Federal Produce, then I've mentioned Sun, then NAFDAC. NAFDAC is for food and drugs. Ajakaya Libaloye Ibijoke, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. Jimo Babatunde, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. You're welcome. We are discussing export costing and pricing. Export costing and pricing. We are on part 5 of export costing and pricing. Part 5 of export costing and pricing. And today we've talked about NXP charge by the bank. We've talked about NEST fee, Nigerian Export Supervision Scheme, fee by the bank, by the government. We've talked about Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service by the government. We've talked about Federal Produce Inspection Service by the government. We've talked about Sun issuing MANCAP, also by the government. These are all regulatory agencies. We've talked about NAFDAC. You can export without NAFDAC, but that will limit how much you can do. Maybe trial export. But when you begin to do reasonable volume, it's very unwise not to use NAFDAC. They won't need NAFDAC over there. Nobody will ask you for NAFDAC abroad. They don't even know NAFDAC. But you are protecting your border. You are protecting your business. You are protecting your the integrity of your product. If you do the minimum check expected with NAFDAC, you are safe. At the minimum. If you fail that test, how are we sure you will not fail the test of other countries abroad? Because people just want to export, they are not keen on quality at all, and that is too bad. One of the things killing our project, our export program project in Nigeria is quality. And government have different agencies to help. Only that sometimes people don't go there. NAFDAC, I don't need it to export, but if I don't do it, I might have myself to blame. Because they don't recognize NAFDAC abroad. But the regulation says I should get NAFDAC to do it, to export. But like I said, people see export without NAFDAC. Does not mean it's right, And does not mean they have committed a sacrilege. But the only challenge is that how you ascertain the quality of your product if no third-party inspection is being done, even if it's not NAFDA. Are you doing any other third-party inspection? It has not been done. So how do we then know that indeed, the quality of your good is great? Adamage Ekolade, thank you very much for joining. Good evening, you are welcome. So we've talked about all the government agencies and what they charge, what they charge varies depending on the nature of the item and quantity and size. But they are involved in the export process. They charge fees for these services. Patrick Agom, thank you very much for joining. Now, let's look at other fees. Remember, we're looking at cost elements. Cost element. If you do not know this cost element and anticipate them and find a way to ensure that they don't catch you unaware, you are going to find yourself to be blamed, because eventually you'll have incurred so much cost and then you really will not be able to make profit on the transaction. The next one is insurance. I've talked about insurance on this program in the past, that if you are doing anything, if you are shipping anything from the up country to Lagos and from Lagos abroad, so from up country to a warehouse in Lagos and from the warehouse in Lagos to the port and from the port abroad, one thing you don't want to miss is insurance. Tina Osahon, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. Welcome. Insurance. Insurance is not a culture in this part of the world. We believe so much in God, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we don't insure. If you're going to do trade transaction, you're going to spend a lot of money, I would strongly recommend you be wise by doing insurance. Insurance is so important. Insurance is so critical. Good in transit insurance is the insurance in transit. Whenever you are moving your good on the road in Nigeria, anywhere you are going to, good in transit insurance. The insurance on the sea to destination is called the marine insurance. Or the insurance in the air to destination is called the marine insurance. These insurance are very important. Now, depending on the Incoterms and who is bearing the risk per time, you should do insurance. In import, we do insurance. In export, generally, we don't do insurance as a nation, regulation-wise. So people have become very, very, very lazy. I have a friend who bought a car. The owner of the car, when you call the owner, armed robber, collected it at gunpoint. And he was doing third-party insurance. When he bought a new one, he didn't need a prophet to tell him to go and do insurance. You should not just insure the goods. You should insure, if you have an office, you should insure the office. We should cultivate the habit of insurance. You are not praying something bad should happen, but if it happens, you should have shock absorber. Good in transit insurance in export is very important. You know the way our road is. You know the fact that even the truck can break down on the way, and the truck might have to sleep on the way in the night. And here is your good in the middle of the bush. We need to do insurance. With the way containers are falling in Lagos, we need to do insurance. There are many, many, many reasons why we must do insurance. So I want to encourage us, please do insurance, ensure it's done, and it's not so expensive, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5%. They're not very expensive. They're not very expensive. To be good if you do insurance. Marine insurance and good insurance insurance, that's another cost. Another cost is inspection fee. Remember, we're looking at costing and pricing. Inspection fee. Inspection fee. The fee for inspection, the cost of inspection, is also very germane. The fee for inspection, the cost of inspection is very germane. Remember, the buyer is likely going to see the goods. Sorry, he's going to see the goods after he has paid. So more often than not, they want to ensure quality. Now, this is why you need NAFDAC. If you have done NAFDAC, you won't need to do inspection again. If your good is packaged, and you have done NAFDAC, or you have done MANCAP. Because if at all there is an inspection is not checking quality again, it's basically checking maybe the quantity, not quality again. Not quality again. Why? Quality inspection has been done. If you follow NAFDAC, you have a certificate, and you do what you're supposed to do, your product is not supposed to have issues. But you know what? Our people, when they get the certificate, they begin to do something else. Because NAFDAC does not come every day. And then you begin to ask yourself, how far do you want to go in this business? Because if you want to really go far and develop the business and expand it, then you want to ensure you do what is right at all times. So at the end of the day, it becomes easier for anyone to want to deal with you because they are sure of the quality of the goods that they want to get or they will be getting from you. Inspection fee. Then we have certificate of origin fee, the fee for certificate of origin. In Nigeria, certificate of origin is obtained from NACIMA. NACIMA is National Association of Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. National Association of Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. In Lagos, their office is in Ikeja. They are in different parts of the country. It's like the Chamber of Commerce is the umbrella body for all the Chamber of Commerce or Commerce in Nigeria. They issue a certificate of origin for any good living in Nigeria. It's automated, you can do it online, and it's pretty much simple process. Depending also on the size of your invoice, that is how much they charge. If the invoice is large, what they charge is higher also. But they have a flat fee, I think it's about 5,000 plus for if your amount of your invoice is less than $50,000, something like that. But I'm giving you all these costs. So these are what you need to do is to go and do some research afterwards. Because not every destination will ask you for certificate of origin. Now, the only essence certificate of origin is for duty purposes. If I ask for certificate of origin in a country, basically it's because for that country, it's either I'm giving them a preferential treatment. So in order to differentiate between those I'm giving preferential treatment and those I'm not giving preferential treatment, I tell you to issue the certificate of origin. Certificate of origin, when I see it, I know that, okay, look, this person is part of the people I'm giving preferential treatment for the good they are shipping to my country. Mojid, Lizzie, Olufemi, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. Welcome. So, inspection fee. Sorry, certificate of origin fee. Like I said, you can get that from the NACIMA. They are the one issuing it in Nigeria. NACIMA. Then we have, if you are taking a loan from the bank, you pay interest rate. That's another cost you are incurring. If you are taking a loan from the bank, you pay for interest rate. And that's another cost you are incurring. Okay, so let me just run through the cost again. From tomorrow, we'll start discussing how Incoterm affect pricing. Remember, we are on part 5 of export costing and pricing, part 5. Export costing and pricing, part 5. Let me run through those costs again. Typical cost you incur, product cost, transport to the warehouse, warehousing cost, transport to the port, freight forwarders fee, shipping line local charges, terminal handling charge, freight charge, NXP charge, nest fee, logistic fee. Logistic, by the way, I think I jumped that. Logistics, you should make room for logistics. I tend to call it Owa boys. If you are loading in a warehouse and they are using manual labor, even though you pay the owner of the warehouse who hired the laborers, the laborer will still expect you to give them money for pure water. They will do your job if you don't give them money for pure water, only that they can just frustrate you and delay you unnecessarily. And you know where our people can be. So it's good you have those kind of little, it's like, it's so interesting in our country. Someone have hired a staff to do a job. This staff is doing his job and he's being paid salary. But because he's rendering this service to you, he expects you to be dropping something for him. And the boss does not say anything bad in it. That's the issue. If the owner, the person that hired them, see anything bad in it, maybe he will have prevented it. But you don't say anything bad in it, maybe that's helping them to not to pay so much. But anyway, ensure you have over on boys. Logistics, or you can call it miscellaneous costs. These are costs, it's the center charges, that you probably know. Just ensure, typically, people budget, if you are doing containers, maybe about 20K per container for this kind of fee. Okay, let me go right now. Logistic fee. Then I talked about terminal handling charge, the quarantine fee, federal produce inspection fee, that's fumigation and fire certificate, sun, which give man cap, there's a fee to that. NAFDAC also, there's a fee to that. Marine and good in transit insurance fee, inspection fee, certificate of origin fee. And like I said, the interest rate the bank is charging you if you are taking a loan from them. I believe you have voted today. I've shown you my own. I voted. Let's hope for the best for Nigeria. I'm hoping that our government will do what is right. The new government, if it's the old that is returning or the new one, a new one is coming in, whichever way. What is important to me is that they should take trade serious so we can leave more people out of poverty in Nigeria and we can grow this economy together. All right, thank you very much for listening again. My name remains Dele Ayimibo and this is Import-Export Platform, Facebook Live from 3T Impest Trade Academy. Thank you very much for listening. See you tomorrow afternoon. I'll go to church in the morning, so we'll meet in the afternoon tomorrow around 1 p.m. We'll be looking at export costing and pricing part 6. And we also have part 7 in the evening around 8 p.m. We have part 7. Have a good evening. Bye for now.